Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Crew Talk, brought to you by Shoots.video. Welcome back. This is my first week back in a couple weeks. I just did a big move from Orlando to Dallas, but I've missed everyone and I'm glad to be back. Today, we are talking to Jed and John of Specster. So hello, Jed and John. And of course, I have my co-host, Justin. Hey, Justin.
How you doing? Glad to see you have a home, that you have somewhere to go and enjoy your stuff.
Yes.
And your studio is awesome behind you. That's great.
Thank you. Still getting it set up. Still have boxes on the floor. Of course, like any move, it's, boxes everywhere. But I pushed them to the side for today to make it look good for you guys. So yeah, we have a couple more guests that we'll be bringing on later. But for now, Jed, John, tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you are and who you are. Jed, you can go first. You're first.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm Jed. Thanks so much for having us. I mean, we're just kind of getting started with our business here, but we're super pumped just to be part of this. I live in Pasadena, so kind of outside of the crazes of Hollywood. And John is my business partner. Go ahead and say hi.
Oh, hello. Hello. Good to be here. Yeah, I'm in Pasadena as well. And Jed and I have been working together for, what's it been? 8 years or something like that?
Yeah, almost 10 in production, commercials, all that fun stuff.
And so that's kind of why we're here today, kind of talking about the new thing we've been working on for a while, but we've both kind of had our run of about every production, Hollywood type thing you can imagine out there. And so it's all going to get kind of culminated into this new business we're doing. So thanks so much for having us. And we're excited to tell you about it.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about it? Like, what is Specster?
So funny you mentioned it. So what Specster is, I guess, in a nutshell, is first and foremost, it's a place for spec. Now, most of your filmmakers are pretty familiar with doing spec work, and a lot of it is a way to kind of break into the business to, be creative, go out and shoot something that's your own. It's your own idea. And usually the end goal is to, have something to showcase, try to, get representation through it. And more than anything, it's just a really fun thing to go do, versus just sit around and watch Netflix all day. People are creative and they want to go out and shoot and test a new piece of camera equipment, whatever it may be. And what we've kind of done here with our business model is we got our start. Excuse me. Hadn't had enough coffee today. We got our start doing spec commercials through various platforms. And so we would get together and just come up with a creative idea and go, oh, that'd be fun. Like, can you shoot? Can you edit? No. And so we have to go figure out how to do these things on our own. But that was a really a fun adventure to kind of go down. And, you kind of put whatever money you can towards it. You ask favors from friends. And that was kind of our humble beginning. And then we actually started booking jobs. And I'll pass it off to Jed. Just
yeah, I think the first thing we really attempted to do was for was a kind of like a crowdsourced site called Tongle, who kind of was gracious enough to give us our start. And we did a commercial for Chips Ahoy. And the whole concept, which I think our first camera was a Panasonic GH3. And we just went out with this camera. We hired these two older gentlemen and we kind of did this two old guys having the time of their lives, riding go-karts, slam dunking, doing a cannonball into a pool. We just had this kind of just fun concept. We went and shot it out in one day and we submitted it thinking oh, that's fun. We'll see what happens. And then we won $5,000. We were like, oh my God, we're ready.
Oh, nice.
Struck gold. Time to quit our day jobs.
Yes.
And so looking back at the quality of it and stuff, the quality was pretty bad. I shot it. But the idea was there and I think the fun was there. And it was kind of like this thing that was just wow, this is a possibility. I think both John and I, we both came from the performance aspect. He did stand up. I did improv and acting and all that fun stuff to kind of start when I came out here. And then this is different. It's okay, now we're kind of learning a little bit of the tools of cinematography and stuff on a very, very basic level. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of where our start was. And then after that, it was just any kind of crowdsourced site, the Zupas of the world and Tongle and Ica and all these different companies were launching these campaigns that basically anybody could pitch, and you go out and you shoot it on your dime, or they give you a small budget to do it. And that was just the drug. It was like, oh, we got to like just keep doing these projects and try to build our portfolio, and had some just amazing experiences, and actually learned how to shoot, and hired DPs that knew what they were doing. And kind of like we did film school kind of backwards. It's like we booked decent jobs with decent budgets, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing. So we kind of figured it out as we went, and our talent and our crew just really, I think, was the ones that educated us.
The passion was there, and that's what you need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We end up talking about passion a lot on these webinars.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. And what a fun start. I mean, to win $5,000 on kind of your first go around with it. That's pretty.
Yeah. I think go ahead, John.
Oh no, I was gonna say that there's a lot of passion and co-misery that goes through the years doing these things.
Yeah.
Because I think what we had so much fun with was that it was always a new challenge, because it was something that, like Jed said, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We were just kind of like, we've got to figure out how to build a crew. We've got to figure out, okay, we can't afford like, all these nice lights to go make it look good. How can we, Hollywood this thing and improvise here? And over time, shoot after shoot after shoot, we kept meeting more people that were just way more talented than we were. And we were just trying to, do the maestro thing here and just get these creative people all in a room together and just go, here's our idea. How can, the actual good people bring this together? And, we shot a lot of commercials. Did we shoot like 50 some commercials, Jed?
I think we shot over 70 for Tongle itself. And then we eventually got representation, and we're winning bids just through our rep. And so we kind of, started from the ground up and moved our way up. But yeah, we've had a lot of shoots. It's been fun.
So because you kind of did things backwards and you kind of dove into it, you didn't know what to expect, I would guess. And so everything was so new to you. So how did you overcome those challenges when you hit them?
Well, yeah. Just real quick, I started out kind of doing the acting stuff. So I had already been on sets a lot, like booking commercials, and was on some episodic stuff. And I worked with some really great commercial directors, Tom Kuntz, and trying to think who else, a bunch of big name directors. I mean, some of the guys that created like the speed stick commercials and big McDonald's ads and stuff like that. And so I'd been on big sets, and so I was kind of just very observant, always asking questions and stuff. And I think when the bug really hit me to kind of get behind the camera and direct, I kind of had already seen it at a really high level. And so I knew what a call sheet was. I knew how to set up a storyboards and shoot and set my focal lengths and all that stuff on camera. Like I just kind of learned that as it went. But I think, just seeing it in action just made it so much more like doable. Yeah.
That makes sense. What were you going to say, John?
I knew nothing. I came out from like a town of 100 people in Kansas originally, and came out, doing the acting thing a little bit and dabbling in the stand-up comedy. And I would go to these auditions, and I just was, deer in the headlights with all these moving pieces of the industry. And what I really kind of fell in love with, I got really disenchanted with the acting and just kind of like that world, I guess. When we started doing these productions, like that became the performance that was kind of a drug for me to kind of go, all right, we've got to strategize how to like make this work, because if we don't pull this off within like so much time and money, then we don't get paid. We can't keep the business going. And it kind of became the running joke with our business, is that we'd win a commercial and then we'd double down on the next one. And then we'd lose that one and we go, oh crap, is the business going to keep going? Yeah. And so, but we made it work, and it's kind of just all built into this new thing. And so we're taking basically all these experiences that we've had, all the, the highs and the lows of the business, and kind of going, we could really make this process so much better in a lot of ways. And the fact that we've had to, be the editors, we've had to be, the cinematographers, we've had to hold the light, Jed would be directing while he'd tag me and I'd be picking up trash in the next room. And so it's just a wonderful experience that we didn't do it the normal way, like going to film school and all this stuff, because we just were like thrown into this mix, and we had to like learn really fast because we were working with people that had done it properly, had gone to film school, knew what they were doing, knew what a call sheet was. And we're kind of going, you know, we got to figure this out really quick. And so we've been able to just find so many little things that we go, man, that could be a better process. This could be more fun for filmmakers, because what happened was the more and more we did these commercials, it started getting much more corporate. You know, we weren't shooting spec anymore. We were actually, they were saying, here, you need to shoot this, and no matter what, sometimes they'll never be happy with it. And then the whole idea, the creativity of doing these commercial shoots really started getting trampled on, and we started losing, you know, the passion and the fun of doing these things. And while the money was a little bit more maybe secure or even better, it was kind of like, is this what we want to do? And so what we wanted to try to do with Specster here is bring back kind of that magic to filmmaking again, and just go, listen, go out and film your passion projects. Go out and do what you're excited about, not what someone dictates you to shoot. And it's definitely a different process that we're trying to, you know, communicate and get people excited about. And that's what we really want to break down here. But that's kind of where our journey has taken us, and we couldn't be more excited to be bringing this to life.
Nice. How long have you guys been working on it? How old is this platform?
We've had the idea, I'd say, for a little over 2 years, but it sat dormant until right when basically coronavirus hit last year. And then so we've been building all the infrastructure until about October of 2020. And then we launched the site. And so we've only been up for about 3 months, and it's growing pretty fun. Actually, we're just amazed at what we're getting uploaded to the site.
Nice.
Wonderful. Then and we may have covered this, I can't remember. How did the two of you meet and decide to do this? Did you meet on set?
We actually met like through an improv group.
Oh, okay.
In LA somewhere.
Monkey Butler. Improv
yeah, it was called Monkey Butler. That was our team name.
Oh, that's funny.
And
damn,
they're always weird.
Kings.
Yeah, they're always like dorky improv names, but that was our name. But yeah, we kind of met, and you know, we had a lot of friends in comedy that are still doing it. But I think John is probably the person that I was like, wow, this guy's actually like serious about whatever business or trade he wants to get in. Like, a lot of my other friends are like, you're fun to hang out with, but I wouldn't want to get into like a production company or like a business with you. But John just had the work ethic and the desire to hustle and make it happen. And it was like, all right, this is like something we can build together. And like we said, we started with our production company, built that out, and this is kind of the new business.
Nice. Before we move on, is Monkey Butler a Simpsons reference?
No idea.
I actually don't know.
Well, sorry, Monkey Butler's a Simpsons reference. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Give me the reference. What's
just Lord of the Rings? Like basically the bus goes into the water, and then all the kids in the bus end up as like a Lord of the Rings scenario and all that. And Bart's trying to tell everyone how it's going to be great, and so they're going to get monkey butlers because they're going to make this whole civilization on this island, and so they're all going to get monkey butlers.
That's a deep cut. Wow, I didn't catch that one. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's awesome.
Moving on, so I don't keep talking about The Simpsons. Sorry.
That was a nice reference. A good catch. Nice job. Awesome. Well, I guess it's time to bring in our guests that we have on the panel now. Justin, do you think that would be a good idea?
Let's do it.
All right. So we have Misha and Levi and Jake. So they're going to be joining us now. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm just going to go through and have them introduce themselves. Misha, why don't you go first? Tell us who you are, where you are, and a little bit about what you do.
Hi, my name is Misha Lee. I am currently in Vancouver, Canada. I reside out of Los Angeles, though. So I'm originally from Vancouver. I immigrated to the States to follow my career as a professional dancer. And then from there, I worked up my way up the rankings to assistant choreographer, supervising choreographer. And eventually I got to be an assistant director to the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So I literally put together a circus. But for the past couple of years, I've been producing reality TV, and I'm happy to return back to my love of directing. So I like to direct pieces that empower women or have a diverse cast or show an unrepresented story. And I also, as a director, I love working with a non-typical crew. It's really important to me to have that. So the last spec we shot in December actually had a 50-50 split. We had 50% males who are Asian and the rest were female. So it excites me to create a space for that. And that's the type of stuff that I want on screen. I want to see more minority stories highlighted on screen and more minorities lifted behind the camera as well. So that's a little bit about me. I like chocolate and roller coasters and sushi for sure. Sushi. So that's me.
That's wonderful. Well, we are very glad to have you today. Thanks for joining us. And moving on, hello, Levi.
Hi, my name's Levi Ames, and I'm currently residing in Missouri. I've been here the last 7 to 8 years or so, and I freelance mostly through animation. But when I got started about 10 years ago, and I got into animation because I thought it'd be a good way to learn the fundamentals of filmmaking, because I always wanted to be in live action, but I loved animation so much I've just stuck with it. And when I first started, I started off all the way into New Zealand, and I was actually working at a farm animation studio called October Animation, and we were working on Nickelodeon shows like Penguins of Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda TV series, and a show at the time called Robot and Monster. And I came back and just started freelancing, and I've been freelancing with Lego, Google, just commercials here and there. And it's just been something I've been carrying on, and that's what I've been doing, freelancing and in animation. So there you go.
Wonderful. And do you also like chocolate and sushi?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Probably chocolate more than sushi.
Excellent. Oh, yeah. Well, it's great to have you. Oh, and there you go. Justin has his Legos right
There's
there.
my Legos.
All right. Hello, Jake. And you're on mute, Jake. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, howdy. Not nearly as impressive as that. So Barnum Bailey or Lego or Google or any of that stuff. So I'm a ex-military guy who got out and started doing filmmaking. I'm in Texas, Waco, Texas to be exact, the motherland. And I got started filmmaking, loved movies, loved 80s action, Snake Plissken, if anybody's interested, like that's where it's at. Big Trouble Little China, Kurt Russell is my guy. Which my wife would kill me if she heard me saying this right now. So I just love movies, want to get behind the camera. Felt like the Lord opened up an opportunity for me to have, I got back from a deployment, had some money to invest, felt like it was time to start making film. And so I started shooting weddings, and the rest is history. So I was doing spec work out of that, learned my camera and all that jazz. And then just recently really started to, get into spec work and doing the stuff that I really enjoy, which is, super creative, not really limited by your client, whatever the brand is. And a lot of times they're a lot happier too, when you're freed to do something super creative. So that's my story.
Wonderful. Nice. Well, we are very glad to have you here. All right. And before we jump into the questions for the whole panel, I just want to remind everyone who's tuning in that we have our question and answer box here. So if you have any questions for anyone today, drop them into the Q&A box, and I promise you we will get to them. And we actually have one right now from John. Hi, John. The spec samples you referenced were short format, spec TV spots. Will your site work for longer formats like documentaries or a video series?
I think that's kind of like possibly something for the future we would definitely look at. We've already had a couple of short films uploaded, and they're really awesome. I think for what we're trying to start right now, I think the advertising market is kind of what our focus is. But I could see how like having shorts or documentaries or anything that could be like distributed would be a huge thing for us. I think there's a lot of great sites out there that are already kind of doing stuff like that. So for us to be kind of the niche of the advertising business is kind of essential for where we're at now. But I think like some of the shorts that have already been uploaded are so amazing too. Like, and those could be potentially taken to festivals and looked at and potentially purchased. I love the story of the movie Whiplash. where Damien Chazelle, he went and he got his short film made, took it to a festival, that got money. He made another short, and then he got the money to do the full feature, like however that story went. But just stuff like that, that's what's so amazing. I think having the spec idea, first of all, is like, we want to just incentivize people to make their own work and to build their own style out. And then hopefully, you know, advertisers will come on, buy that video, or hire them to do their own thing. But I think we're trying to empower the people to make their own content the way that they want to make it, and let that be their business card, or that be their portfolio.
I see. So walk me through that process a little bit. I'm just a filmmaker. Maybe I've done a few commercials, a few things here and there for actual paid stuff, but not very much, right? Not to sustain. And I come to a Specster. Like, what am I going to be doing? What should I be looking to lead to?
Well, I think that's the beauty of it, is I think whatever you feel like you're best at shooting, or if you want to like attempt to shoot something that's like in a different market than you're used to filming, we want that. We want you to be able to do that. Because I mean, if you look at the typical bid process, and we go through it all the time, it's like you take the spots you've already shot or similar spots to what the client wants, you present that to them, and then they, you know, take the lowest bid, or they take the filmmaker who's got more clout than you are. So we're just kind of looking at this and going, you know, we want your quality of what you shoot, and to be able to represent you and be able to pitch that out to people.
I see.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. So I'm going to jump into my first question here, and this is for everyone, so anyone can jump in and answer it. What has been the biggest high and the lowest low of your creator journey? What you kind of learned from that lowest low?
Levi, we could start with you. Got an idea there?
Okay.
You look like you kind of chuckled when I asked the question.
Well, I'll start with the low because it goes right into the high. About 8 years ago, I made a demo reel. You got to make a demo reel of animation shots to apply for jobs. That's just the way it goes. And the primary job I'm going for is animator. And I made this demo reel. I applied to everyone that I wanted to, rejected from everyone. And I held off applying to the big one, you know, Pixar. And finally, after all these rejections, it was just kind of like a Hail Mary. It's like, I got nothing to lose. Put it in, go for it. They actually replied back, and I got interviews back for the job, and it was going really well. And my hopes were, you know, coming up high, and, you know, I was like, wow, I actually might have a shot to do this. And, you know, for one thing or another, you know, they loved the work that I was doing. You know, I just wasn't right for the job or for the schedule that they needed or the experience, because I was still working on that. And so it came crashing down. You know, I didn't get the job, but come to find out about a few weeks later, whatever fresh hires that came up for that movie, which was actually The Good Dinosaur, they ended up rescheduling the whole movie 18 months down the road. So whoever they freshly hired for that time, they had to fire right away. It's like, we don't need you anymore for the movie. We don't need to push for, the production end. So I felt like I dodged an emotional bullet there, you know, because
getting hired for something you were going to get fired for anyway, right?
Oh man, you know, I think I would have been more devastated than I was, but it still hurt, you know, that happened. And actually, it was when that happened, I was forced to take on freelance work. This was so early on in my career. I was not ready to do this at all. But it ended up kind of planting these seeds in this new milestone into my career, where slowly but surely it was like, you got to fend for yourself, man. You got to start figuring stuff out. And so about a year into my freelance after that happened, I started figuring out, like, you need to start figuring out how to continue with your education, you know, continue to sharpen your skills. You know, it's not enough to just be on your own. You need to, you know, go sharpen iron with other mentors and other people. And that's when I had the idea of, like, you know, who else is out there? You know, like, who's giving classes? Who's got time available? I'm in Missouri. You know, I'm in the middle of the country. I can easily fly to the East Coast, the West Coast, all these places. Why don't you start divvying up your time and start figuring that out. And this is where the high gets in. You know, I figured out that Don Bluth, who is a pretty well-known animation director. In fact, this is a video game that he directed. Other productions that he's directed is Anastasia, An American Tale, Land Before Time. So this guy was available. He lives in Arizona, and he was giving classes, you know, for a whole week. I was like, oh my God, like that's like the monk on the high mountain type of thing. And I was like, wow, okay. So because I'm in freelance, I can make my time available anytime I want. So save up the money, fly out there, go and do it. I thought at the time when I was doing it, I'm only going to get to see him this 1 week. I'm just grateful to see him, learn whatever I can, ask whatever questions I can. But that 1 week ended up being 3.5 years. And it just ended up being like a mentorship with him over time. Through multiple classes that I flew over to, and then eventually online, sort of like this, you know, for an entire year. You know, it was amazing. So had I gotten that job back for Pixar, that never would have happened. And besides Don, I was also figuring out other people to go get mentored by, or, you know, sharpen iron with iron and learn new skills. So, but Don Bluth was definitely like a real high. So
yeah, you never know how it's going to work out. You got to keep the faith. You got to, you know in your heart that if you're doing enough to keep it going, that it's eventually going to lead to the thing that you want to lead to, hopefully. And then to the next thing. I mean, there's always another thing after that, obviously.
Absolutely.
Jake, what about you? You got a similar story, highs and lows?
Definitely got some lows for you. Some highs. Well, I think that's the thing, right? You know, a lot of the filmmakers, or you meet your idols and all that kind of stuff, and you know, you just think of all the cool stuff that they've done, but what they had to do to get there. Like, I'm a big Robert Rodriguez fan, just because of how he started and what he's done for the indie industry. But for me personally, like, my lowest low was, you know, I was working at this, you know, for about 5 years at the time, just plugging away, nose to the grind. I look up and my family is just in shambles. My wife is, you know, having a hard time because it's really built on her back, you know, kind of keeping a stable income while the freelance stuff kind of comes in. She had this come to Jesus moment where, like, you know, this isn't working. And so, you know, really being able to kind of take a step back and say, you know, where's my identity? You know, is it in what I do? If I'm not a filmmaker full time or whatever, does that define me? You know, and then obviously the answer for me is no. You know, I'm me regardless of what I do. But you know, it really gave me, lit a fire under me. You know, and it gave me perspective to, you know, really push into this spec work. You know, I did something kind of similar to Levi, where I found a coach, and I invested in that coach. And he just poured all of this knowledge into me. And it was a lot of the spec work stuff. And it was just, you know, researching brands. Who do you want to work for? Who do you want to really, like, what kind of work do you really want to make if you're going to make commercials? You know, why make stuff you hate? And so, you know, that really got me. That's why I made a spec for Spotify. And but that really kind of launched my portfolio to this next level. And then, so I made something, you know, here in Waco, we've got Magnolia and, you know, all those people, Chip and Joanna, everybody thinks they're our neighbors. Cool people. But Harp is another company that's here, Harp Design. So they've got, they make woodwork for a lot of the shows and junk like that. So I did a project for them, and, you know, they have their own shows, you know, HGTV and all that jazz. Well, working with Clint, he was like, this is the most professional production I've ever been on. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, I'm scrappy. I'll tell you, I'm a scrappy guy. And we just had a small crew. But like what Misha was saying before, you know, just having that crew is so important. And being able to, like, let your creative vision kind of just drift and, like, work with people you really like to work with. And I mean, that's, to me, is really where I found gold. And so for me, I made a couple of those projects, invested my time and my money and my, you know, all that, took a risk going out there. But now, I mean, I got a call. I was telling Jed about this last week. I got a call from a production company out in Virginia Beach who saw that work. And they're like, hey, yeah, we want to talk to you about directing some pieces for us. And I just spent all last week just creating treatments for them. I'm not repped. I'm just a local guy here in Waco. So, it's just, there's the power of like work, being out there, putting your best foot forward, and then not being afraid to fall one way or the other. Because, hey, if this thing flops, I'm not going to die. I'm going to come out the other side. I'll do whatever I have to, one, take care of my family, right? And then two, just take the next step. So anyway, that's kind of where I would frame that question.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a couple things there. Both you guys mentioned mentors and how important it is to learn from someone who's been there and done bigger things than you have been. And even going back to John and Jed talking about being on bigger sets and how important that is, just to see the level of that stuff. I think that's really cool. And it sounds like spec work is a good way to sort of inch your way into those situations backwards sometimes, which can be really useful. That sounds cool. Misha, do you have any other sort of thoughts on that, highs and lows?
This one is a hard one for me because I feel like, not to be like Debbie Downer, but I feel like the pandemic has kind of reiterated what success and highs and lows are, kind of puts things in perspective. And you're like looking back and there are like a lot of amazing moments that, you just go to bed going, gosh, that happened today. Like, how did that happen today? But I think like even just being present, I mean, this is an honor. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here to be recognized amongst awesome peers and the talent that's on Specster. Like it's so inspiring. So just to be asked, I'm going to say today's my highlight. When I say a low, I think it's really hard. And that's what's going to be in the commercial world. It's really hard, like pitching for a project and investing, so much time into the treatment and really getting your hopes up for it and spending so much time and effort on it. And I guess there was kind of almost like a contest for a music video, and I spent so long on this treatment, and I knew the coordinators, and so they kind of pulled me aside and said out of the 20 submissions that they had, that mine was the best and that they were really rooting for me. So I got really excited with that. And then to find out that the client, the budget didn't go the way that they wanted it to go. So they picked another directors whose treatment was cheaper. I mean, that's everybody's story, but to have that happen, it's just like, oh, there's days that you're shooting and it's just the most wonderful thing when you're getting that last shot right before the sun goes down and you made magic happen, or you were able to turn around an actress's maybe bad mood, but got her to the right spot just to get her to deliver right before you had to wrap. Like those, I think, are my highlights of things that people won't know how much work went into, like, and how much synchronicity had to happen in order to get that one shot in focus and it to go through. So I'm going to say that that's my high, is looking at it in the editing and going, oh man, that actually turned out. If only the audience knew how bad it was to get it there. But the low would be, to be bidding for something that you really strongly believe in and knowing it's good and hearing it's good and it just not being right with the budget and not given the opportunity to bid lower. You don't often get that. You get one thing and you say your budget and you try to go in for a reasonable rate and to lose it. And then you go, oh, I could have done this and this and this for the numbers, but I wasn't even given that opportunity. So I'd say that's pretty tough. And every director knows what that feels like. So
it's such a catch-22. Those are difficult positions. As running a video production company, a lot of times what my partner and I do is sort of give a number and then maybe give a discount on the number so that you're not you're not selling yourself short necessarily. You're only doing it, say, once, like I'm offering you less this time because we believe in your project or whatever it happens to be. And then that way that number can maybe, like, adding another 5 or 10% to a discount seems like a very logical thing in that situation, because you've already given some of that leeway. And so that's one way to sort of look at that. Not that you could have done that or whatever. I'm not trying to, talk in hindsight, but for other video production companies out there, that can be a useful way to look at that. And that way that doesn't set a precedent necessarily for next time that you are just having low rates. It's a different way to look at it. So anyway, that's one way we do that. And I think speaking of the rest of your story is like getting back on set and being able to be a team, I think, is one of the things that we realize now how much we missed. At least I do, and maybe the rest of the people on the panel, of like not being, Levi, you're out of this. You sit in a room by yourself. You don't count. No, I'm kidding. But just being able to get back on set and contribute to those synchronous moments and have things happen just perfectly on set. And we've missed that. I think I've definitely missed that, being on smaller crews or not the same types of productions that have happened in the past. Does anyone want to speak to that or talk about your highs and lows, Jed? Are we gonna let Jed and John talk about too, or are we moving on, Sarah? You tell me.
Oh, they can absolutely talk about it if they have a quick story they want to share, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, first of all, just hearing everyone's story, that's what's so cool, I think, about what we're trying to build, is just more of a community. I mean, everyone kind of has these stories of, I've had great opportunities, or I've like worked really, really hard to get where I'm at, or I've been motivated in certain ways. And it's really cool just to hear kind of everyone's story. And, we're hopefully trying to build something that, benefits everybody and creates opportunity for people. That's all we're trying to do. And just giving an outlet. Like, if you have a really cool aesthetic or some type of a medium that you shoot best and you love to do, we want to like showcase that and get you hired and get somebody to give you a budget and run with it. So in terms of highs, like, this is kind of John and I's high, is to kind of build a platform for everybody to like succeed. Like, that's the goal ultimately. Because we've been there and we're still like creating, we're still directing at the same time. So it's something that we feel we are the filmmaking community, and we want to build that. In terms of a low, John, can I share a quick story about our rain shoot? So we did a shoot. This is way off topic of something that I just talked about with the high, but we did a shoot for through Tongle, the company that gave us the job, for Listerine. And we got like a smoking deal on this house. We had to do this shoot in a bathroom. And it was like such a weird scenario, because we get there, we're all set up, and the homeowner comes in. He's just kind of out of his mind and scrambling. It's just like, I'm so sorry, but I double booked you guys. And we're like, whoa. Okay. Damn. We said, but don't worry, we'll have the other shoot on the other side of the house. You guys are doing sound. So don't worry about it. Like, the other group, you won't even hear from them.
Good luck.
So we're kind of like hearing some weird stuff going on. People are coming in and out of the house. And so we kind of sent our PA to go check it out. And it was like, they were doing an adult film shoot on the other side of the house. So there's a porn shoot going on the left wing of the house, and on the right wing, we're shooting this wholesome Listerine spot. So that was a pretty interesting one. And then
it's pretty similar, right?
Even adult actors need to have a clean mouth. I mean, let's be honest
I
there.
thought we could cross promote it, but Listerine was like,
they weren't feeling it.
Yeah. But so just kind of the fun of low budget and trying to make stuff happen when you're just trying to make a buck and get your project finished.
Totally. We have a question here real quick from Claire. What type of spec work is most sought after, and what type of spec work stands out? Looks like Jake's typing a answer as well, but Jed, John, any ideas?
I think what has really been interesting to see is, what we're trying to do with our site is just open up the possibilities more than anything. And with specs, it's a little subjective, because you have to go where the market is. You have to pay attention to trends in commercial world. And but you're not limited to that either. If you have a good idea, you can translate that into a 30-second format or whatever it may be. And people are looking more for those stories now versus like, hey, can you film the heck out of this product and just, so I think our generation has become so saturated and can smell a fake, sell from a mile away, that we want to connect more with our fellow humans and people that we can relate to. And that really leaves a lot of possibility open to what you can go out and film. And I think first and foremost, what we want to do at Specster is kind of go, again, like you guys have been saying, everybody's got a unique story, and everybody's got a unique way of filming and directing and how they, bring something to life. So, what is your specialty? We're not trying to tell people on our platform to say, hey, go out, spend a bunch of money, get like the best camera equipment, do all this stuff. And just, we're kind of going, use your resources at your disposal. Like if you can film something for cheap and you can still make it look good, if you can ask for a favor, a friend, like that's great. Because I think people will never stop, wanting to be creative. And if we can give you a reason to, pick up the camera, animate something and be able to sell it. That's what we want to do here. And we're trying to just create more opportunities. And especially with like this whole pandemic thing that's taken place, I think it really has opened up a ton of opportunities for people that even us, we were sidelined from filming our typical stuff we would go do. And so now these brands and companies are scrambling and just going, how do we promote our products? We can't hire our normal film crew. And if someone who's, filming something, at least in the genre of what your company is, say it's like, outdoors commercial. Okay. What does your mind go to? I could go film like a hiking type of commercial. I could go film something with boots or hunting, whatever it may be. And so we're trying to say as Specster, make something like that's creative in the wheelhouse of something you're passionate about, or you have a lead on a company that this would be perfect for. And so many people, I think they'll try to film like the Nike commercial or specifically for Coca-Cola. And we're trying to communicate that like, hey, how many up and coming Coca-Cola companies are there? How many, craft beer or new shoe companies are out there? Again, 99% of the economy is small business. And so why try to go for this, the number one brand that's probably not gonna hire you? They've got their own teams, they do it their way. So why not open up the possibilities to like, 1,000 different companies in the same genre that would be interested in your commercial? And plus they can just get it instantly. They can brand it, one way to 1,000 ways with like simply slapping their logo on it, or just saying, this person is so good, I just want to hire them to like do a whole new thing. And so that's what we're really trying to promote and open up in the site. And it's a little hard to, I guess, say what's the best to film, but we're actually putting out a contest pretty soon, just kind of a fun little challenge to get people out there and give them leads. So Jed, can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, we got a nice little partnership with Rhino Camera Gear, who makes these amazing little motorized sliders. And basically, our contest is we want to see the best tabletop work, food and beverage, CBD, and THC market. And so go out and, take your slow motion camera or any kind of like a cool edit you want to do, animate it. Any kind of like probe shot with like a Laowa 24mm lens, something like that would be fun. We kind of want to just open up the market to you guys as filmmakers and just go shoot what you want to shoot in the food and beverage market. Like build your, food and beverage portfolio. Go out and do that. So,
and that's stuff's cool too, because you can do it, if you have any sort of room, any sort of studio area, that's a really good thing to do during COVID. Right. Because you don't need to involve that many other people. Right. Like you can do it overnight. There's so many ways to find the opportunity to shoot tabletop stuff that other things with actors out in the wild is harder to do.
Yeah. You can limit your budget, and, people are hesitant sometimes. And I even see questions like, how do you expect to shoot some of this stuff on a limited budget? I mean, nowadays there's a lot of cool tools, like ShareGrid is a company that you can go rent gear from local people in your area. You can go down to Best Buy and pick up like an A7S III for like $3,500 if you have that. So there's definitely ways around it. You don't have to have this, huge Alexa setup with all these crazy lights just to make something that will get you work for the future, especially. So we're just trying to give incentive to people, go film stuff. This helps build our community. This helps get us more leads to brands. But we want people to feel like they're, motivated to do something creative and make some money doing it.
And I think just to tie off on that, the stuff we were selling, and this is, God, 8 years ago, we were shooting and, had no idea how to edit and color and all this different stuff. And we just shot on what we had, but we were selling these to brands, and what they were buying was the idea. The quality wasn't there most of the time until we started getting a little bit better. And then it shifted into like, well, the quality's great, but then the idea gets killed because it gets, goes through 6 committees with these clients and stuff. And so I think there's a really, cool, happy medium that we don't want to scare people off from saying, oh, well, I don't even want to participate because I'd have to spend a bunch of money and I can't do this. And we don't want to discourage that. We want you to get out and just have fun, experiment, even people that just get out and like buy a drone or do a test shot, like, you don't understand how valuable that piece of content is to the right buyer. And what we're trying to do is find those right buyers and connect them with you, where otherwise, a lot of times you as a filmmaker, you're just waiting on the right representation. And that could take, a year, 2 years to find something like that. And in the meantime, you're not shooting anything because you're waiting on these opportunities versus creating your own opportunities.
Yeah, there's a question in the Q&A, and it's from Tony. And I think we've sort of answered that as like, whatever's in your backyard. I don't know where you live, but I think that there might be something unique about it, or about what you have access to, or about the people that might want to be actors, any of those things that seems like you're solely in possession of that thing that other people around the country, around the world might want to see because they don't have access to it. I mean, I think we discount that stuff because we're around it every day, but that's something that definitely can be useful to other people that we had no idea would be useful to them. We gotta give away some money.
Yes.
Sarah, you want to handle that?
Yeah, it's time for our giveaway. So we have a $50 gift card to B&H.
What?
But no, none of our panel can enter. Sorry, guys. This is for all of our audience tuning in. So before I ask the question, I will let everyone know that the link you need to go to, the website you need to go to, Blake has already dropped it into the chat box. So it should be in there. I know he dropped it. I did see it. But the question is, what listing displays first in Boston? So this is if you go to the shoots.video website. What listing displays first in Boston? Drop your answers into the chat box, not the Q&A box, into the chat box.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. In Boston.
Do you know the answer, Sarah?
I do know the answer. They did give me the answer. One time I called out the wrong answer, but they gave me the right answers. Oh,
do you see it?
Navi got it.
It's the Dutchin Productions. Yes. Okay. That's the answer.
Congratulations.
So Navi Viswanathan, who's been here a number of times, has been on the show a number of times, I believe.
Thanks for tuning in again.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. I love the little giveaway.
Mike McGonigal. Sorry, man. You were second. So close. I love that people put Blair Media. I don't know if that was an educated guess or they're just like, hell, Blair Media is always going to be the right answer. Yes, Blair Media is always the right answer. We should give Tony $5.
Good job, Navi. Congratulations. So we have a few more minutes. So I'm going to ask one more quick question before we wrap it up. What trends are you seeing in the industry? And Levi, I'll start with you. You can go ahead and answer that one if you want to.
Okay. Well, I can only speak from animation experience. But as far as, John kind of covered it already, where like everything is kind of going towards storytelling, like you can smell the sale a mile away. And, I can't tell you how many times I click away from an ad inside a YouTube video, even when it's integrated in there, if they're trying to sell me something. But it's the ones that integrate it in, have an emotional connection, have a storytelling element in it that helps me stay on, help me watch the whole thing. So as far as the trend goes, it's already there and it's just going and people just got to keep going. So
Misha, what about you?
Yeah, that's what John said it so well, but more and more you see companies trying to put people that are relatable. So you're seeing, which is great, you're seeing more diversity on commercials and just stories that speak to you, like, yeah, that I totally just did that yesterday, or that's exactly my problem. And it just reminded me of a commercial. There was one that WordPress did, and it was John Malkovich looking at his computer and trying to get johnmalkovich.com, but it was already taken. And so he's just so frustrated. And anyway, it plays out, but that's what you remember. You remember this silly scenario, but you relate to it. And then afterwards they flash WordPress, and that's it. They didn't talk about the product at all. It's just a relatable experience. And I'm seeing it more and more. It's either heart pulling or it's a comedic beat, where something that's you're gonna feel. And I think those are the most effective commercials right now, are the ones that have some kind of pull on you.
And I think from a spec perspective too, is like, I mean, Geico commercials, they're all basically spec commercials where they just tag 15% off in 15 minutes or less at the end. Like, they almost never have anything to do with Geico, and they all seem to be just like throwing ideas at a dartboard. And so I think you could make a commercial tomorrow that could easily end up as a Geico commercial, or they would redo it, but the same idea, because there's a lot of brands out there that do the exact same thing.
Yeah, that was one of our major influences, was Geico. Creating this business, we would look at these commercials while we were, cutting together, something that we had to do every little thing right that the brand had laid out, and we're just going, this commercial has nothing to do with Geico at all. Like, I want to do that. Like, why can't we something funny and just like say, like, Coca-Cola or something on there? Like, totally. I think it just would have been so much more fun.
Yeah, and even kind of what Levi was saying about human interest pieces, almost like that kind of stuff is what's so great with kind of like this open-ended spec idea that we have, is like, we just want to see like kind of a short film or kind of this docu-style thing about a person or an emotional relationship or something. And then you can put whatever brand you want on that. That could be an insurance company, that could be healthcare, banking. I mean, it doesn't really dictate what that specific product is unless it's flashed in front of your face, like a really, like a used car salesman. So
yeah, totally.
Anyone else have anything to add? Kind of the same themes, I guess, but Jake, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that, practically, right, there's trends and there's things that, you see different humor trends and that kind of stuff, but really there's principles. There's principles to marketing. There's principles to making films that have been the same since celluloid was a thing, right? And if you can stick to those and study the principles, like principles in marketing, what are these brands trying to do? They're trying to sell stuff. Well, how do you sell stuff? Every buying decision is based off of motion. So they're trying to evoke emotion. So what brand are you targeting? Well, I'm targeting a very serious brand that their demographic wants to feel this emotion. Bingo, that's the emotion you're going to target. And you get to come up with a creative way to target that emotion. And so that's the winning formula every time. It could be Coke, it could be anything you ever want it to be. It could be 30 years ago, or it could be right now. It's just, what do they want to feel? And so, to bring it back to a practical place, that's how I structure it. And when I talk to brands, from small business to larger brands, that's all they care about. And you can do that. And so anyway, that would be my 2 cents for it.
And that's really wise too, is because the more specific you are, there's sort of a paradoxical situation there. I forget the exact term for it, but the more specific you are, the more people think it applies to them. So brands out there are going to see that spot that is this unique story about one little thing about how, caring, whatever it happens to be, is the, the general tenet of the story or whatever. And they're going to be like, that's our brand. That applies to us. And you didn't make it with them. Even you had no idea they even existed, yet it feels like that because it's a universal thing. So, and that takes being specific, being broad and generic and being like, here's a good story. Like, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. And so I think what you're saying really makes a lot of sense and probably is the best way to proceed with that sort of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. John. Yeah. Well, Sarah, what time are we at? We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, should we ask another question? Or one thing I've also asked people is kind of, what's your favorite piece of advice that you've received either in like the beginning of your career or something that's just really helped you or stuck with you? You just, if we can just all go around and say that. So Jake, I'll start with you.
Kid just got home, so if they're screaming, that's what's happening.
Don't worry.
Okay, real quick. Influence. Biggest influence for me, investing in myself and not my gear. So as filmmakers out there, just stop buying cameras, stop buying crap, just invest in yourself. And what I mean by investing in yourself is, you know, when I did the coaching thing, that changed my whole mindset. And to do this kind of work and get paid for it consistently, you have to think differently. You can't think in small budgets. You can't think in things if I can't, or how do I get around, you know, I can't do this because COVID's here. I can't do this because I don't have a crew. Your mindset has to switch into, how do I do it? You can't be a no person anymore. You have to be a yes person in all the right ways. So that's the best advice that I've gotten and that I'd love to impart.
Wonderful. Misha, what about you?
Saying that I live by is how you do anything is how you do everything. So that's how I live my life. But I think encouraging quote that I was given as a director is, don't worry about, like, everyone's going to criticize, but the people that are in front of you are never going to criticize you. It's only the people behind you, because the people in front of you will actually look at what you're doing and just applaud you for trying. And that's what you really should be paying attention to. So only people behind you will criticize you. And that's really helped me in my directing journey.
That's
Nice.
great advice for life.
Yeah, absolutely. And to speak to your first part too about, you know, basically when I'm on set, when I'm a director, say, or a DP, and someone is trying to get on set with us or trying to be a crew member, and they do something like wrapping stingers or putting away gear or setting sandbags on top of each other, whatever it happens to be, very menial, seemingly not all that important things. I pay the most attention to those things because I know if they don't care about that they probably don't care about the rest of the jobs. Like, that sort of transcends it. And so just to anyone out there, because I know a lot of the people we talk to in these videos are potential crew members or current crew members, like, that stuff's super important to the people that are at the top of the call sheet. They're watching how you wrap a stinger. Like, there's not many things more important than that in a way. And so it's always worth paying attention to the little stuff, because then the big stuff works accordingly. Yeah.
Jed, what about you?
You know, I think like just both John and I's philosophy of just shooting so much was just take care of your crew. Like, set morale, you set the bar when you really like set up. If you have like nothing for lunch, you don't pay them on time. We've had so many positions where we started out at the beginning and worked for other people and we didn't get paid half the time. And it was just such a like bummer. Like, I don't know if I want to like do this again. And so we just tried to like set the momentum for the crew of just pay everybody on time or ahead of time, take care of people. It's as little as that. And they will like work their butt off for you and keep that loyalty. That was just something super simple that we just tried to stick by.
Right. John, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Oh, I think Jed said it best, but I mean, if best advice I could give is, I wish I would have taken more advice growing up, but I think it's really the fact that we went into this business kind of just not having a lot of experience and just barreling into it. It kind of really made us grow up really quick and just figure things out a lot faster. So if, you know, you're passionate about something, I mean, my philosophy is just like, if you're going to go for it, then go for it. If you're going to fail, then go down in flames type of thing. Because at the end of the day, it's like, this is stuff we love to do in one shape or another. And if you're not pursuing what you're doing, then you're in the wrong business. You know, you need to go after it and you got to take risks. And that's kind of what the philosophy of Specster is. This is Spec. And we're just saying, you know, go film your passions and make it work, you know, make your own destiny here. So I think a lot of people are just waiting around for that opportunity to find them. And you need to be the one that gets out there and makes the opportunity.
Absolutely. Levi, what do you have?
Yeah. So for me, you know, like, if you are pursuing the thing that you want to do, no one tells you the kind of marathon run that you're on. And so I had a teacher tell me, he's like, listen, you know, there are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days. You might even be working on a project where you hate the people. You might even hate the project, but you need the money. there's just going to be all these different elements that are happening. But he said, like, you need to pay attention to at least one thing that is like a victory throughout the whole thing. So for me, if I'm animating, it's like, I don't like the people, I don't like the project, but if I can pay attention to like this one principle of animation that I'm learning and just keep going until, you get to something that's just even better, just paying attention to the small victories, and that helps because like even when you are pursuing the thing that you want to do, you gotta have the stamina, you gotta have the marathon race to keep going because, it's not all rainbows and puppies there. So like, gotta keep finding those small victories.
For sure.
That's so true. Well, thank you guys, all of you, so much for being here today and for giving all of the information that you did. This was wonderful. And just to wrap up, we're going to go one by one. And you can just say your name again and tell us where we can find you, if you have a website or on social media. And also, if you'd like to drop it in the chat box for all of our audience to find you on Instagram or your website, whatever, you can do that too. And Levi, we'll start with you. We'll go backwards.
You can find some videos and animation work at vimeo.com/Levi Ames, or you can find me at Instagram, Levi Ames, at Levi Ames, and I'll just type it in here.
Great. John?
I'm John, a founder of Specster, and you can find both Jed and I's company at specster.com. Make sure there's 2 S's in Specster. And yeah.
Jed, you want to add on to that at all?
Yep. Jed, and you can find us on Instagram at Specster Inc.
Great. Justin, you want to promote anything?
What do you think I want to promote? Get out of here.
I don't know.
This is Brick Madness. This is a movie we made. It's on Amazon right now. You can
cool.
go to brickmadness.com. You can find out about it, buy DVDs, Blu-rays, that sort of stuff, or just go to Amazon and watch it because it's really good and you'll like it, I bet. And if you don't, then I will give you your money back, guaranteed. Hit me up.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Misha?
You can find me on IG, Misha Lee, and my website is directormisha.com.
Great. And Jake?
It's hisgraceproductions.com. You get on my website. We got Instagram, Vimeo links from there.
Wonderful. And I'm Sarah Marintz. You can find all of my voiceover and fun stuff on sarahmarintz.com, and I'm on Instagram at Sarah Marintz. We will see you on the next Crew Talk in a couple Wednesdays, but thank you everyone again for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
You might be looking at Shoot Stop Video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me? B, just giving me options and having me handle it? Or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoot Stop Video, and happy shooting.